Houseki no Kuni, also known as Land of the Lustrous. More than just a title, it refers to a physical location, an island, inhabited not by humans, but by beings made of gems. And they all work under their leader, that they all refer to as Sensei. Together, they are each assigned various tasks to maintain the island, with the most important task to go on patrol, always being prepared for an unknowable enemy. Which then leads us to our protagonist, Phosphophyllite. While seen as quite weak and incapable, it will be through watching foes transform, grow, question, take action, fail, and bring salvation over the course of millennia. But for now, let's get back to the anime. Houseki no Kuni. Ever since it released back in 2017, I've thought about this show a lot, and for a myriad of reasons, with the most obvious reason being that this is a 3D animation, made by animation studio Orange, who also made Beastars and Trigun Stampede. Though what's made this series always stand out is just how it's so pretty. The gems in particular with their hair and the insides of their bodies. Not only do the colors need to be vibrant and clear, they need to have a sense of transparency to actually look like gems. Which while 2D animation can get pretty close, this is one of 3D animation's fortes, being able to create materials that are near exact to their real-life counterparts. These materials also look good in different times of day, and appear realistic in multiple settings. And while many of the backgrounds are still 2D, Studio Orange does such a great job of blending these different assets together, keeping the use of vibrant colors while mixing in additional 3D models, makes the show feel like it has a singular art style. Combine that with the very fluid, if not always in motion animation, making even mundane conversations a treat to watch, which in turn just makes this series feel so alive, which makes it such a standout in my mind, of not only what Japan can do of 3D animation, but how effective 3D animation can be as a whole. And while the manga has the complete story, which finished back in 2024, the anime cuts out some important information, but only the parts that foreshadow in the far future that don't apply to this current season. If we get a season 2, it'd be easy enough to include this missing information, but that is one tiny sliver of hope. Let's go a bit deeper into the characters. With only 12 episodes in this season, our time together with them is relatively short, and yet, they're each able to leave a lasting impression. Starting with the order that they appear in the anime, we've already seen our protagonist, Phosphophyllite, who's brash, impatient, fragile, and the most flawed character of the bunch. Boss is introduced by a pink-haired gem named Morganite. Aggressive and a bit overconfident, Morgan has the energy of a young older brother, believing to know more than the younger gems, while still being a bit reckless. Morgan is backed up by the white-haired Goshenite, whose kind and gentle demeanor tends to balance out Morgan's teasing. Outside of special circumstances, nearly all the gems are paired up with one another to offer support and cover each other's faults. So continuing on, we have Jade and Euclase, the infrastructural backbone of the island. Green-haired Jade, whose nature is quite serious, serves as a spokesperson relaying orders and strategies to the other gems, while Euclase serves in a secretary role, doing paperwork and supporting Jade, while also doing other sorts of odd jobs. Euclase is also one of the oldest gems on the island, whose calm demeanor hides her intellect. These two work directly for the true leader of the island, Kongo-sensei. Dressed in the robes of a Buddhist priest, he teaches the gems about the world and the roles best suited for them, being effectively a father figure to the rest of the gems on the island. He's also the strongest guardian of the gems, having the patrolling gems come notify him of any threats, so he can deal with them personally and pull any gems out of harm's way. Next, we have Rutil, the effective doctor of the island. Being the go-to person for the broken gems to get put back together, the two-toned Rutil was thrown into this position for the skills gained by repeatedly operating on a gem named Padparadscha, with brilliant long red hair and born with a body consisting of multiple holes. Rutil works tirelessly to bring Padparadscha back. We then have blue-haired Benitoite and purple-haired Neptunite. Benito, while not wanting to offend, has the most common sense, contrasted by Nepti's stoic yet often blunt personality. Then we have the most interesting gem of the island, Cinnabar. With medium-length red hair, Cinnabar's body expels a silver liquid, mercury, which kills plant life and erodes the bodies of the other gems. Cinnabar chose to become isolated and avoid the other gems, not wanting to cause harm. Yet being an outcast seems to draw the attention of Phos, since they're both loner types without a partner. Moving on to the most brilliant gem, we have Diamond. With a kind and gentle personality, Diamond is quite capable in combat, but feels insecure when compared to the strongest gem on the island, Bort, who's also Diamond's partner. Having an aggressive nature and being quick to point out flaws has made Bort feared among the other gems, but this comes from observing the other gems, with the desire of having them improve so they can maintain their safety. We then have Yellow Diamond, the current oldest gem, and Zircon, the second youngest gem, with Phos being the youngest. While Yellow has a similar personality to Diamond, Yellow is also the fastest gem on the island, and is willing to share some of the wisdom gained over the years. Wisdom that Zircon wishes to absorb to become more capable in spite of a lack of experience. We also have the twin gems, Amethyst 33 and Amethyst 84. Their twin characteristic means their bodies won't break when colliding with one another, too much of the other gems' dismay. While they seem to act like one person, they both have caring and protective personalities. We then have the crafting gems, starting with the twin-tailed red beryl, who's a total fashionista, Obsidian, who creates swords custom to each gem, Speen, who constructs furniture and other objects out of wood, who's partnered with Peridot, who makes paper. Moving on to our final pair, we have Hemimorphite, who always looks on the brighter side of things, partnered up with Watermelon Tourmaline, Innerhead. And while we have Ghost Quartz, who appears in a single scene, and Kyngorm, who doesn't appear in the anime, our last two gems are Alexandrite, with long turquoise hair and is the main researcher of the island, specifically on the gem's main enemy, which if seen directly, causes Alex to go berserk, changing gem color from turquoise to red. Which brings us to our final gem, Antarcticite, whose body only hardens in the frigid temperatures of winter. So while Antarc takes the lonely winter shift when the rest of the gems are hibernating, that just means more time to monopolize Kongo-sensei's affection. That makes 27 of our 28 inhabitants. The 28th we assume is Lapis Lazuli, who appears only in the manga. But we don't see Lapis in the anime because only a part of the body remains. The rest was taken by the Lunarians. They appear with black shapes, almost out of a Rorschach test, which the gems call sunspots, where beings emerge with long flowing robes, instruments, and throwing petals, as if taking the appearance of gods or deities. And they've come to attack the gems, to take their bodies for their luster and color, and bring them back to their home, which we assume is the moon, hence the name Lunarians. And while they seem to value the gems highly, we don't know what happens to them when they're brought back to the moon, as the only remnants we've been able to find is when the Lunarians turn the gems into weapons to capture more gems. And while Kongo-sensei has the power to wipe them out single-handedly, he can't be in all places of the island at the same time, hence the reason for having gems go on patrol and them needing to have combat potential, as dealing with volleys of arrows is the minimum mandatory skill, because all it takes is one arrow to be the end of everything. So try not to get caught out in the open on your lonesome. Not only are the Lunarians quite crafty, they can take you away before you even make a peep. Never to be seen again. Houseki no Kuni has the mask of a show that's about improving yourself, but in actuality, it's about answering the mysteries that are visible in their day-to-day life. We learn that gems are born out of a specific stone on the island, and that their material is filled with microorganisms called inclusions, which not only allows their bodies to move, but repair themselves as long as they have all the pieces, and come back from even being dissolved, which for allegedly being immortal, must still be quite traumatic. In fact, with all the gems looking similar in body height and shape, why then does Kongo-sensei look so different? Even the oldest of the gems remember him being here. Did he come from that same wall, or from a different place entirely? And while we've seen him fend off the Lunarians time and time again, we haven't seen them attack Sensei directly, almost as if he has a different relationship with the Lunarians entirely. Then the Lunarians make a surprising move of delivering a large seashell, which housed a creature that when brought to the ocean, changes into a form that's quite similar to the gems. And her name is Ventricosis, a ruler of the race known as the Admirabilis, and she shares a tale regarding the creation of her people and how they came from humans, as they divided themselves into flesh, bone, and soul. The Admirabilis inherited the cycle of life and death of the flesh. Lustrians inherited from the bone bodies that were immortal. And the soul, while finding lands that are incorruptible, seek to reunite flesh and bone to become whole. And while Ventricosus was able to escape, she describes that the rest of her people have already been taken to the moon. Which means, are the Lunarians attempting to create a human? That is a question the manga has solved, and I hope the anime will answer in the future. Houseki no Kuni is one of very few stories that ended in 2020, whose ending I can say I was satisfied with. And I would love to talk about it again.
だから冷静に慎重にな。